Seniors, your muscles are disappearing without this one vitamin in your diet: senior health. Did you know that by turning 70, you could have already lost up to 40% of your muscle mass without realizing it? Not because you stopped moving, not because you did something wrong, but because of one silent factor hiding in your daily life: a missing vitamin, so overlooked that nearly 78% of seniors are deficient in it right now. And the consequences? They're far more serious than just feeling tired or weak. This hidden deficiency has been linked to a 320% increased risk of mobility disability, meaning walkers, wheelchairs, and even nursing homes become more likely, simply because your muscles don't have the support they need to function, to protect you, or to help you stay independent. But what if that could change? Today on Buddhist Health, we're uncovering 6 essential nutrients that could transform the way you age, backed by science, guided by authentic stories, and grounded in a more mindful approach to healing. From the little-known supplement that restores strength in just 14 days, to a natural compound that helps reconnect your muscles to your brain, to a daily mineral that could stop those nagging nighttime leg cramps for good. Each chapter in this video unlocks one piece of your body's inner puzzle and shows you how to reclaim the strength and steadiness you thought you'd lost forever. But make sure you stay with us until the end, because Part 6 reveals the most misunderstood nutrient, the one that could help you feel younger, move freer, and sleep deeper, all without a single prescription. If you've ever said, "I just want to feel strong again," this video is for you. Before we dive in, do me a small favor. Tap the like button, subscribe to Buddhist Health, and share this video with someone you care about. It takes only a second, but it helps us share more healing knowledge with thousands of people like you. Now, take a breath, and let's begin your journey back to strength, one mindful step at a time. CoQ10, the overlooked fuel that powers your muscles. Robert never thought of himself as fragile. At 72, he still walked his driveway every morning, picking up the newspaper, waving at neighbors, and tending to the roses his wife once loved. But something had changed. He couldn't return up the hill without stopping to catch his breath. His legs burned, his body ached. "I just figured it was part of getting older," he said. Then came the statins, prescribed for his cholesterol. They were supposed to help his heart. Instead, within weeks, Robert could barely get out of bed without his muscles protesting. "My legs weren't just weak, they were screaming." His doctor said it was normal, but deep down, Robert knew something else was happening. What Robert, and millions like him, didn't know was that his body was being quietly robbed of a powerful life-sustaining compound, coenzyme Q10, or CoQ10. You may never have heard of CoQ10, but inside every cell in your body, especially your muscles, it's working tirelessly, like spark plugs in a car engine, to turn food into energy. Without it, even the most nutritious meal is like pouring fuel into a car with no ignition. No matter how much you eat, your muscles can't use it. CoQ10 lives inside your mitochondria, the microscopic power plants that generate over 95% of your body's energy. As we age, especially after 60, our natural levels of CoQ10 plummet, down by as much as 65% by age 70. That's like running a city on half its electricity. And if you're taking statins like Robert, it's even worse. These common medications block the very pathway your body uses to make CoQ10. Research shows that over 60% of seniors on statins report muscle pain, fatigue, and weakness. The irony? The medication meant to protect your heart may be quietly stealing your strength. But here's the hope. Supplementing with CoQ10 can reverse muscle loss in as little as 14 days. In a clinical study, 87% of participants experienced significant improvements in energy and strength just 2 weeks after beginning CoQ10. Think about that. 2 weeks, the time it takes for most people to finish a bottle of vitamins. Could be the difference between struggling to climb stairs or dancing with your grandchild again. So why don't more people know about this? Because CoQ10 isn't a glamorous supplement. It doesn't get the headlines. And most doctors, trained to treat diseases rather than optimize aging, rarely test for it. But that's starting to change, because the data is undeniable. CoQ10 doesn't just power your muscles. It powers your independence. The recommended dosage for seniors typically falls between 100 to 200 milligrams per day, and for those on statins, up to 300 milligrams may be beneficial. While organ meats and fatty fish contain CoQ10, you'd have to eat a feast to reach therapeutic levels. That's why high-absorption CoQ10 supplements, particularly those in ubiquinol form with black pepper extract for bioavailability, are now considered essential for many aging adults. At Buddhist Health, we often say, true power doesn't come from outside, it rises from within. In Buddhist teaching, we learn that the source of resilience is not found in what the world gives us, but in how we awaken what already exists inside. CoQ10 is a reminder of that truth. It is a compound made by your body, silently supporting you until it no longer can. When the Buddha spoke of the right effort, he wasn't just about willpower. He meant aligning your body, mind, and breath so that energy flows effortlessly. CoQ10 does that, biologically. It allows your cells to breathe, your legs to move, and your spirit to rise. So if you're feeling like Robert once did, slower, weaker, less yourself, know this: it's not just aging, it may be your spark plugs running dry. And the good news? You can refill them. Vitamin D, your muscle's secret weapon against aging. Thomas never imagined he'd be afraid of his legs. He was always the strong one in the family. A retired postal worker from Michigan, Thomas had spent 3 decades walking his route, carrying heavy mail bags, climbing stairs, and waving at neighbors as the snow crunched beneath his boots. He never thought about how easily he moved and how naturally his body carried him. But after retiring, things began to change. At first, it was subtle, a stumble here, a sore knee there. Then came the winter, one of those long, gray Michigan winters where the sun feels like a distant memory. And that's when it happened. Not once, but 3 times in 2 months, Thomas fell. No ice, no slip, just his legs giving out beneath him. I'd be standing, and then suddenly I wasn't, he said quietly. His doctor ran a series of tests. Blood pressure, normal, heart, fine. But then came the surprise. His vitamin D levels were critically low. Dangerously low. The kind of low no one sees coming until a fall lands you in the ER. Most people think of vitamin D as the bone vitamin. And yes, it helps your bones absorb calcium, but few realize that vitamin D is just as important for your muscles, strength, balance, and roll. It's what allows your muscles to respond when your brain says step, catch yourself, or stand back up. Every muscle cell in your body has vitamin D receptors, tiny biological locks that only open when this vitamin is present. Without enough of it, the signal doesn't go through. Your muscles can't fire properly, your balance begins to sway, your reaction time slows, and over time even the simple act of getting out of a chair becomes a calculated move. It's a silent progression, no pain, no warning, just a quiet erosion of the body's stability. Thomas wasn't weak, he wasn't fragile, but like millions of Americans over 60, he was unknowingly deficient in the one thing his muscles were crying out for. And he's not alone. Studies show that over 40% of seniors in the US are deficient in vitamin D, especially those living in northern states, those with darker skin tones, and those who simply spend more time indoors. That number spikes in the winter months. And perhaps most concerning of all, most doctors don't routinely test for it. You have to ask. For Thomas, the fix was simple but powerful. After beginning a daily supplement, 1,000 IU of vitamin D3 taken with his breakfast, he noticed a change within weeks. His legs stopped trembling, he stopped reaching for the wall when walking down the hallway. And that winter, not a single fall. What makes vitamin D even more critical is how interconnected it is with calcium, not just in bones but in muscle contractions. Calcium is the signal. Vitamin D is the switch that lets it in. Without the switch, the signal doesn't reach its destination. It's like having a perfectly functioning light bulb, but no electricity. And here's something else most people don't know. As you age, your skin produces significantly less vitamin D. When you're 70, you make about 25% of what you did at 20, even if you spend time outside. Combine that with sunscreen, clothing, and shorter winter days. And it's easy to see why deficiency is so widespread. Food helps, but not as much as we'd like to think. Fatty fish like salmon, egg yolks, and fortified cereals contain some vitamin D, but reaching optimal levels through diet alone is incredibly difficult. Many healthcare providers now recommend supplementation, especially in older adults. For most people over 60, a daily dose of 1,000 to 2,000 IU of vitamin D3 is safe and effective. The D3 form, known as cholecalciferol, is preferred because it's more bioavailable than D2. And because it's fat-soluble, it should be taken with a meal that contains healthy fats to maximize absorption. What Thomas learned, and what many still don't know, is that aging doesn't have to mean accepting fragility. Sometimes the difference between confidence and fear, independence and dependence, comes down to one small nutrient with a significant impact. It's called the sunshine vitamin. But you don't need the sun to feel its warmth. You just need to know it's missing. Vitamin B12, the hidden code between your brain and muscles. Elena had always been light on her feet. At 73, she still danced on Saturday nights at the community center. Nothing fancy, just a few slow steps to the music she'd grown up with. But then something strange started happening. She began dropping things, her keys, phone, even her toothbrush. Her hands felt disconnected, like they didn't quite belong to her. Then it was her feet, a strange tingling, almost numb. At first she brushed it off. Probably poor circulation, she thought. Then came the wobbles, minor stumbles, an uncertain step down the stairs. Her doctor ran tests. Arthritis? No. Parkinson's? No. MRI? Normal. It wasn't until a new physician, much younger than the rest, ordered a vitamin B12 test that they found the culprit. Elena was severely deficient, and she had been for years, without ever knowing it. That's the thing about vitamin B12. The signs don't scream when it's missing. They whisper. And often, they're mistaken for aging. But make no mistake, this isn't just getting older. It's a neurological deficiency that affects how your brain talks to your body. Without enough B12, the signals between your spine and muscles begimble. Your feet don't feel where the ground is. Your hands don't grip like they used to. Your balance, your confidence, even your independence, they all begin to slip. And the worst part? It's incredibly common. Studies show that up to 30% of adults over 50 have difficulty absorbing B12, even if they eat a healthy diet. Why? Because B12 absorption depends on a protein called intrinsic factor, produced in the stomach. As we age, production of this protein drops dramatically. On top of that, common medications, like metformin for diabetes or acid reducers for heartburn, make it even harder to absorb. That means you could eat all the right foods, eggs, meat, dairy, and still not get what your body needs. And unlike other vitamins, B12 plays a unique dual role. It keeps your nervous system healthy and your red blood cells functioning. Those red blood cells carry oxygen to your muscles. Without enough B12, your cells are starving for air. Imagine trying to lift your arms, climb the stairs, or carry a bag of groceries with muscles that aren't being told what to do, and don't have the fuel to do it anyway. For Elena, the diagnosis came just in time. Her doctor prescribed a course of B12 injections, followed by a daily methylcobalamin supplement, the form of B12 that's the easiest form for the body to absorb, especially for older adults. Within 2 months, the tingling faded. Her grip came back. She stopped falling. And the best part? She started dancing again. Many people mistake symptoms of B12 deficiency, fatigue, clumsiness, forgetfulness, as just normal aging. But they're not. They're signals. Your body's way of saying, I need help. And the good news is, the solution is simple, affordable, and life-changing. The recommended daily intake for seniors is 2.4 micrograms. However, higher doses or sublingual, under-the-tongue forms may be necessary for many, especially those with absorption issues. These bypass the digestive system and go straight into the bloodstream, where they're needed most. This isn't about boosting energy or improving memory, though B12 does both. This is about reconnecting your brain to your body and restoring the quiet intelligence that once made you feel steady, confident, and capable. Elena didn't need a new medication. She needed her signal restored. And maybe you do too. Sometimes, what feels like a decline is just a deficiency. And with the proper support, what was lost can return. Vitamin C, more than immunity, it's muscle resilience. James had always been known for his grip. He spent most of his life as a construction foreman, hauling lumber, tightening bolts, and gripping tools with confidence. Even in retirement, at 71, he prided himself on being strong enough to open jars for his grandkids, carry groceries up the stairs, and help his neighbors lift the heavier loads. But lately, something has changed. It started with a minor rubble, twisting the lid off a peanut butter jar. Then his coffee mug slipped right through his fingers one morning. His hands, once his pride, now felt foreign, unreliable. Concerned, James saw his doctor. No arthritis, no Parkinson's, everything looked normal. But his nutritionist suggested a simple test most doctors overlook: vitamin C. And sure enough, James was deficient. We think of vitamin C as the hate when catching a cold, a quick fix, a childhood memory of chewable orange tablets. But vitamin C is one of the most essential nutrients for muscle health, especially as we age. Here's why. Every time you move, whether you reach for a glass of water or stand up from a chair, your muscles rely on something more profound than strength alone. They rely on structure, on the invisible framework that holds them together and connects them to your bones. That framework is made of collagen. Vitamin C is the key to producing it. Without enough vitamin C, your body struggles to build and maintain the connective tissue that wraps around your muscles like scaffolding. Without that support, muscles become unstable. You feel weaker, wobblier, and more prone to minor injuries that take longer to heal. For James, that explained everything: the fading grip, the aching joints, the soreness after even light activity. But the story doesn't end there. Vitamin C is also one of the body's most potent antioxidants. As we age, our muscles are under constant attack by oxidative stress, a natural byproduct of aging and inflammation. Over time, this invisible stress wears down your cells like rust on a car. Vitamin C helps fight back. Your internal repair crew neutralizes the free radicals that would otherwise damage and degrade your muscle tissue. And there's more. Vitamin C is essential for producing carnitine, which helps convert fat into usable energy. Without it, your body has fuel, but no spark. You feel tired, even after rest. You move slower, even when you want to be active. You start asking yourself, why do I feel so sluggish? The answer might be something as simple as a missing vitamin. Things changed once James began taking a daily supplement: 300 milligrams of high-absorption vitamin C, split into 2 doses throughout the day. His grip strength returned. Physical therapy showed a 30% increase in hand function in 6 weeks. He could twist open jars again, tie his shoes without frustration, hold his grandson's hand without worrying if it would slip. His energy? It's like someone turned the lights back on, he told me. Experts now recommend that adults over 60 take between 200 and 400 milligrams of vitamin C daily, far more than the standard recommendation. And while citrus fruits, bell peppers, broccoli, and strawberries are excellent sources, aging bodies don't store vitamin C for long. That's why daily, consistent intake is so important. When you think about it, it makes perfect sense. Muscles don't just need strength, they need support, protection, and energy. And vitamin C does all three. It supports your structure, it protects your cells, it powers your recovery. It's not about vanity, it's about vitality. James didn't need new medications. He didn't need to accept his decline as normal. He needed a missing piece of the puzzle, one he never realized was gone, and that's the lesson. Sometimes, the strength we've lost isn't gone. It's just waiting for the proper support to return. Magnesium, the forgotten key to strength, sleep, and stability. Barbara used to love evenings. After dinner, she'd relax in her favorite chair, book in hand, soft music playing. But lately, those quiet nights had turned restless. It started with a dull ache in her calves, then cramps that twisted her muscles like a vice. She tried walking it off, stretching, warm baths. Nothing helped. Eventually, she began waking up 2 or 3 times a night, her legs tight, her energy drained, her patience stretched thin. At 68, Barbara chalked it up to age. Just another part of getting older, she thought. But something didn't sit right. She exercised, ate well, and drank plenty of water. So why did her muscles feel like they were constantly fighting her? Then her doctor asked a question that no one had asked before. Have you checked your magnesium? It turned out that Barbara was one of millions of Americans unknowingly deficient in this essential mineral. You've probably heard of magnesium, but not in the way your body knows it. Inside you, magnesium is a master regulator, not only of muscle function but of energy, sleep, and even your mood. Without enough of it, your entire system starts to falter. And the truth is, most people over 60 aren't getting enough. Research shows that more than 60% of older adults are magnesium deficient, often without realizing it. Why? Because magnesium depletion is sneaky. Common medications like diuretics, acid blockers, and certain antibiotics accelerate it. Add to that the fact that aging intestines absorb less magnesium from food, and what you've got is a perfect storm of silent depletion. But what does magnesium do? It acts like the electrical conductor of your body. Every time your muscles contract or relax, magnesium directs the flow. Without it, muscles can get stuck in a partial contraction, leading to cramps, tension, and fatigue. It's like trying to drive with your foot half pressed on the brake. Magnesium is also essential for creating ATP, the energy currency of your cells. It helps your muscles recover after use, fuels your brain, and lets you get through the day without crashing by mid-afternoon. Without magnesium, your body is like a machine running on flickering power, always on the edge of a blackout. Barbara didn't know any of this. No one had ever mentioned it. But things changed fast once she started taking a highly absorbable magnesium glycinate supplement and adding more leafy greens, almonds, and beans into her meals. The cramps? Gone within 2 weeks. Her energy? Steadier. Sleep? Deeper and more restful than she'd had in years. "I didn't realize how exhausted I was until I wasn't anymore," she said, smiling. Magnesium doesn't get the attention it deserves, maybe because it's not flashy, but it's essential. And the older we get, the more we need it. For women over 60, the recommended intake is 320 milligrams per day. For men, it's 420 milligrams. But depending on your lifestyle, medications, and diet. And here's the kicker. Most magnesium-rich foods, like whole grains, seeds, and greens, are underrepresented in standard American diets, especially among older adults who struggle with digestion or appetite. That's why supplementation is often not optional, it's essential. The form matters too. Magnesium oxide, the cheap found in most drugstores, barely absorbs and often causes digestive issues, but forms like magnesium, glycinate, or citrate are much gentler on the stomach and far more effective. What Barbara discovered is something many people never hear. You're not tired because you're old. You're tired because your system is running on empty. Magnesium isn't just about preventing leg cramps. It's about restoring the flow of energy through your entire body. It's about giving your muscles, brain, and heart the basic tools they need to function the way they used to. And sometimes, the only thing standing between you and the version of yourself you remember is one missing mineral. Creatine, the secret ally for seniors who want their strength back. Frank used to chuckle when his grandson came over, shaking a plastic shaker bottle filled with thick white powder. "Creatine," his grandson would say proudly, flexing his arms. "This stuff's the secret sauce." Frank would nod, amused. In his mind, creatine belonged in the gym bags of 20-something athletes, not the medicine cabinets of 76-year-old retirees. That was until standing up from his recliner became a two-step process. Frank had always been active. A retired postal worker like Thomas prided himself on staying mobile, mowing his lawn, walking to the mailbox, climbing the stairs without complaint. But now, his body didn't respond the same way. His legs felt slow. His arms were less coordinated. Even small movements required effort, planning, and momentum. Getting up used to take one motion, he said. Now, it was more like a negotiation. He tried physical therapy. It helped. Some. But progress was slow, and his confidence was slipping. Then, one afternoon, after watching his grandson power through a workout, he asked, half joking, "You think that stuff would help me?" What happened next surprised them both. Frank started with a low daily dose of 3 grams of creatine monohydrate in his morning coffee, no fancy loading phases. No gym workouts. Simple bodyweight exercises were recommended by his therapist. Standing from a chair, holding balance at the counter, and a few light squats with support. Within 4 weeks, something shifted. He felt steadier when walking. His legs responded faster. Standing up wasn't a struggle. By the 12-week mark, his physical therapist recorded a 15% increase in leg strength, and Frank could stand without using his arms to push. I thought I was aging backward, he laughed. So what happened? Creatine isn't just for young lifters. It's for anyone whose muscles struggle to respond the way they used to, especially seniors whose muscle strength, balance, and reaction times are deeply tied to their independence. Here's how it works. Your body naturally stores a molecule called phosphocreatine in your muscles. This molecule acts like a turbocharger, helping your muscles produce energy quickly when it matters most, like rising from a chair, catching yourself from a stumble, or climbing stairs. As we age, those stores decline. The body stops making as much creatine. Combine that with reduced physical activity and muscle breakdown, and you have a recipe for weakness, slow recovery, and reduced mobility. Supplementing with creatine helps replenish those stores, giving your muscles the quick-access energy they need for real-life, everyday movements, not just deadlifts and sprints. But that's just the beginning. New research shows that creatine stimulates satellite cells, the body's natural muscle repair agents. These cells are critical for maintaining and rebuilding muscle mass. Unfortunately, after age 60, their activity drops by up to 50%. Creatine has been shown to boost satellite cell activity by over 30%, effectively rejuvenating your muscles' ability to rebuild. That means preserving what you have and regaining what you thought was lost. And even more compelling, creatine supports cognitive health. Several studies now link creatine to memory, mental clarity, and mood improvements, especially in older adults. So while your body gets stronger, your mind gets sharper. A rare 2-for-1 benefit in the world of supplements. It's safe too. Over 200 peer-reviewed studies have confirmed the safety of creatine, even for long-term use in older populations. It's well-tolerated, inexpensive, and doesn't interact with most medications. The recommended dose? 3 to 5 grams daily, with no need for fancy protocols. Frank didn't need to train like a bodybuilder. He just needed help standing up without fear, and creatine gave him that, quietly, steadily, day by day. The truth is more hopeful for seniors who think their strength is gone for good. You don't have to be 25 to get stronger. You just have to believe it's still possible. Because sometimes the proper support doesn't just preserve who you are, it reminds you of who you still can be. How all 6 nutrients work together to reclaim your freedom. By now you've met the hidden heroes of your body: CoQ10, vitamin D, B12, vitamin C, magnesium, and creatine. Individually, each one plays a critical role. But what happens when you bring them together? That's when the real magic begins. Think of your body as a symphony. Each nutrient is an instrument, loud, essential harmony. The whole performance changes when even one is missing or out of tune. But when they're in balance, something beautiful happens. Your body remembers how to move, respond, and heal. This is what science calls nutritional synergy. It's the concept that nutrients don't just work better together, they amplify each other. And for seniors, that synergy is often the missing link between simply aging and aging well. Let's go back to the stories we've shared. Robert regained strength not just because of CoQ10, but because restoring cellular energy gave his muscles a second wind. Thomas avoided another fall because vitamin D brought back control and balance. Elena found her footing, literally, because B12 reconnected her brain and body. James rediscovered his grip with the help of collagen and vitamin C. Barbara's energy flowed again, thanks to magnesium. And Frank? He rose with confidence because creatine filled the gaps that time had carved. But none of them relied on just one thing. They improved because their bodies were finally supported as a whole, not patched together with isolated fixes, but nourished systemically. That's the shift we're inviting you to make. Aging isn't just about avoiding decline, it's about building something better, day by day, step by step, with the right tools. Not to return to who you were at 30, but to thrive in who you are at 60, 70, 80, and beyond. That begins with a mindset. One that asks, what if my body isn't breaking down? What if it's just waiting for what it's been missing? Because the truth is, your body hasn't forgotten how to be strong. It hasn't lost the ability to move with grace or recover with power. It simply needs the resources to do so. And when you bring those 6 nutrients together, you're not just fighting muscle loss. You're enhancing recovery, boosting energy, sharpening your mind, and protecting your independence. And that last part, matters most. Because this isn't about vanity. This is about freedom. The freedom to get out of a chair without hesitation, to carry your groceries, to reach for a grandchild's hand without wobbling, to say yes to a walk, travel, and life. When we talk about staying strong as we age, we're not just about muscles, we're talking about the agency. We're talking about autonomy. We're talking about dignity. You deserve a body that supports your spirit, not holds it back. And that starts with honoring your health, not as a burden, but as a partnership. So take a moment, ask yourself, which of these 6 pieces might I be missing? Where can I begin today? Gently, intentionally, mindfully. Because the journey to strength is not about going fast, it's about going with purpose. And you, just as you are, have everything within you to begin.